Upgrades.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to talk about Echo. This is the finale. This is only a limited series run, so this may be the last time we see Echo, and this is the 5th episode. This is a full spoiler discussion, so if you have not seen episode 5 or Echo at all, and you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead and leave now. Go and check it out. It's a quick watch. You can binge it very easily, and I'm about to go ahead and introduce my co-hosts. I have here Ronan Unchained, Vanessa, and Ant Gold. What's going on, everyone?
Hello.
Hey.
What up? What up? What up, people? What up, Ant? Can't see you, man.
Samuel, we've come full circle. I was there at the beginning, and I'm here at the end.
Hey, we don't say his name. Remember that. That was the original code. We don't say his name. Amazing, my friend.
You know what? I got a name for you. Ant Gold. Vanessa.
Don't you speak her name!
Triggered.
Anyway. Enough emotional damage. We'll get to the real emotion. All right. So episode 5. I mean, coming off of episode 4, I thought episode 4 was really good, but I want to get you guys, Ronan and Ant Gold, to kind of give your perspective, real brief, on what you thought of episode 4, because me and Vanessa kind of unpacked it fully. I thought it was probably one of the strongest episodes of the season, but it unpacked so much, specifically with certain relationships and what they actually mean, from family, you know, and whether that's surrogate family or whether that's your actual blood family. So can you guys unpack episode 4 real quick? Either one of you guys can go first.
I really dug it. I think it's my favorite episode of the series. Just scene after scene after scene, you just felt the tension from all angles pointing at Alaco Cox's and Maya Lopez. There were some moments that hit home for me because of, you know, some dynamics with my families that I don't communicate that much with. So it was interesting to see how that paralleled with me, and it felt like reading a brand new Marvel comic book with a brand new character that had no big connection to the high stakes of the universe, and yet symbolized what Marvel characters mean and what people take out of them, whether they're new or old or not. So I really appreciated what they did with episode 4.
Thank you, Ronan. All right, Ant Gold, what did you think?
Overall, I enjoyed it. Episode 3 was kind of shaky for me. Like, I didn't really enjoy episode 3 as much as I enjoyed episode 1 or 2. So 4 coming back and hitting home with that family piece and bringing that all together. I think I love the grandpa hasn't even been in it that much, but every time he shows up, I just love how he's subtly getting people back together. He's staying neutral, but like, all right, but y'all just, you know, and he's kind of said one of the things I said on the first or second episode where he pointed out that the grandma and Maya are so much alike in how they deal with things. I think that's the interaction that stood out with me when because we weren't really sure of their relationship, and the fact that, and this happens in real life, one trauma can disrupt a whole family when they don't deal with it. Like, they don't deal with it and process in healthy ways. And so the grandfather and the grandma weren't together, and because I wasn't sure. Maybe y'all were. I wasn't sure about that throughout the first couple episodes. But I still like their banter. When she's like, I didn't come here for some old res dog to hump my leg, and they had that thing and still care. Yeah, that really stuck. That really stuck with me. There's some things that I think there's one of the few Marvel shows that I actually wish was longer. I know in the past, even when we talk about the Netflix shows, it's like, all right, maybe there was one episode too long. You could have, but this one, I wish it was a little. I think the issues I have with this show overall are because they had to put a lot into like a little bit of a space.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to kind of go through and unpack. So let's go ahead and get into it. Episode 5. So coming off of, we knew that Maya didn't get on the plane, and I kind of was like, where's she going? Because she left the town. Like, I was like, I still don't know where she went. So I guess she went to the outskirts She went back to her house and she contemplated her life. But at that point, Fisk was like, bet, you're not coming. I'm coming for everything, right? And so one of the earlier scenes that we kind of see is Fisk kind of going and no, actually you see the grandmother, she kind of just chilling and working, and I can't remember what she was getting. I don't know if it was dry cleaning or something like that. And all of
in that sewing machine, right?
right. She initially was going to get the sewing machine from the grandfather. And he of course was really nice to her, and he already had it ready and stacked and everything. And then from there, she was going to go get some supplies and stuff like that. We're going to unpack the grandfather scene, but Fisk walking up and kind of like just starting to kind of talk with her and dissect like, what's going on with your family? How are you doing today? Oh, like you lost your daughter and you love your granddaughter. Oh, bet, what's her name? And he just is just going with, and I love that version of Fisk that likes to just play with people. Like that's one of the things in the high point I actually loved about the Netflix series is that he's a sociopath, but at the same time, he's got so many different tendencies of anger, and you don't know how he's gonna deposit them or push them out. And so in that scene, it just felt so dangerous that it reminded me of kind of like one of the reasons why I loved like the original Netflix. Like anything could kind of happen. But I guess before we get there, you guys can talk at either moment. Also the scene with the grandfather was really touching because, she had a real, what's the word? She had a revelation, I think, that happened between her and Maya in the 4th episode. Like she had been holding on to all the trauma. Maya had been holding on to it emotionally and not letting herself feel anything, whereas the grandmother was just harboring all the pain that she had in. And the first person she told was Maya, like why she was so much in pain. And from there, she kind of started to go and progress to where her emotions needed to go at that point. And then it came back full circle to the grandfather. And he was there with open arms. He was just saying, I've been waiting. I've just been waiting. So if you guys want to talk about both of those scenes between her interaction with Fisk and what that felt like, then also the emotional side of her interacting with the grandfather.
Can I ask a question? Because I watched them all back to back. Did the hotel room scene with Maya and Fisk take place in episode 4 or 3?
That's 4.
That was 4. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love both scenes. I think that's sweet. The grandparents are so sweet to each other. Like it's pretty obvious that Maya's mom's death broke the family apart and completely destroyed their marriage. And there's obviously little pockets of love that they have for each other. It's really sweet. Like every moment with the grandma is so sweet. Each character she has like a really touching moment with. And I don't know if it's the actor who just like emotes really well. I don't know. The scene with Fisk, I was like, the whole time I was like, oh my God, old people will talk to anybody. That is a complete stranger. Why are you telling him your entire life story? What is happening? And I knew, I was like, this is the most accurate thing I've ever seen. Boomers love to talk to strangers. They will talk to you about anything. So like, that was just so accurate to me. Wilson's just like, yeah, tell me more. He like plays her so well. And I just was cracking up that whole scene. I'm like, and I was also like laughing to hide up the complete fear because I was like, whole time I was like, oh, we talked about this. He was gonna go after the grandmother. No, I was like terrified. I mean, but also this is still Disney. No matter how much blood is spilled, I was just like, maybe she'll be fine. But I was both scenes were really good, really well acted, and yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, the Graham Greene, that guy's charm is always there. The second I saw him, like, oh, they got a star in here, cool, and the way to balance it out. And I mean, from the get go, he's been sort of because I don't know if he's a step grandfather or grandfather because he addresses like his ex wife like you lost your daughter, don't lose your granddaughter, and I love that he has an impact on everybody. And at one point, I just wanted Maya to just hug him, be like, thanks for even caring after all this time and whatnot. And yeah, and then you flip that to the Fisk scene, and it's almost again for me the gold standard is always the Hans Landa scene in Inglourious Bastards, where he's just toying with the farmer and he's just like, I know who you have here, I got you, I just want you to spill it and just send him deeper to hell. And hearing Fisk let this lady play out all the info that he already knows, it reminded me a lot when Fisk would interact with Peter Parker, and whether early on Peter didn't know who he was, but Fisk be like, "Oh, I've heard about this boy and whatnot," and he probably already has an ace up his sleeve, knowing this guy's a troublemaker for me. So I just love that even outside of Maya's interaction with him, his presence was felt throughout the town, and how much it came knocking to her family now.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, I want to bring up something about the grandfather, but I'll come back to that in a second. And what you thought of those two scenes?
So like I said, with the grandfather, what was his name again? Because I remember his name, the actors.
Graham Greene.
Graham Greene. Seen him all my life. I'm not sure he didn't film all his scenes in a day in that same location, because he's always there and he nailed the emotional beats of everyone. So bravo to him. Not saying he did. I would be surprised. I like that playful method. He's been waiting for them to heal and come and want to talk, and he's been waiting for everybody, it seems, and he's been patient with everybody. And I think when you have these strong personalities, you need somebody that can be more even keeled in between them. But yeah, the grandmother scene with Fisk, I was like, man, you gonna give him a social security number next? You gonna tell me you're out of town next week? What else you gonna give this complete stranger after everything that's been going on? So yeah, and you felt actual nervousness, because I think what I liked, what I wanted to happen for this episode did happen, where Fisk wasn't just all vengeance, I'm gonna kill you for shooting me, where he actually, in this twisted way, wants Maya. He wants Maya's love, and he can't get it. If he can't get it a positive way, he'll get it a negative way, like a borderline personality type of thing, and which makes it even like scarier, like almost like having a stalker. Like you don't know how he's going to react to not getting the response he wants. And this twisted codependent relationship they have on each other. And I think even Maya was surprised when he handed her the hammer, and she didn't know what to do with it. So I think their dynamic was so interesting through this whole series, especially this episode.
Yeah, one of my, and we haven't gotten it yet. We're kind of skipping around certain things because I gotta go home back to the scene with Maya and her mother. That's a really specific, pivotal scene. But one of my critiques about this episode, and it's not what you think it is the end scene with the family. Why was the grandfather not there? And I asked that question, and you guys can answer if you want to. Part of me thinks they maybe filmed something that something happened to the grandfather, and they just decided to nix it, because it doesn't make sense why he wouldn't show up. It makes no, like, because everything was at an apex because of him, and he was the glue. So why wouldn't he be there in the moment where, even if Maya drove him there, or even if like there was a moment where he was just kind of sitting on the lounge chair and they reassembled the same exact scene that we saw in the beginning from the first episode, and he just wasn't there. It made no sense, and it to me it kind of was like, I think they may have killed his character, but they just didn't show it, and they're never going to, because they're closeting this whole entire series as a whole, no matter how well it was received, no matter how well they executed it. But I don't know. I just wanted you guys' opinion on your thoughts on why the grandfather wasn't there. Like, I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me.
That's why for me the last episode dips a little bit, because it felt either rushed or like it was missing an episode prior to this to set up, okay, we've either spoken the tensions and we cleared it out. Now it's like, okay, now it's safety, because Maya kept knocking on the devil's door and somebody answered it right now. And so if she left New York to come back for this, the trouble's following her. So it's a way to deal with it. And it was nice that her mother came back. Like, I agree, the grandfather should have been there, but I appreciate that at least once her mother was there, because it was like, okay, you brought up the connection that the grandmother and the daughter have with the visions. There has to be something in the between with the mother and how that plays out. And yeah, that's one of my critiques, that like the idea and concepts I dug, it's just the execution that I was just like, you're missing a solid 30 minutes or more beforehand to wrap all this stuff up, because we'll get into it later, but when we get to the fight scene, even then I was just like, well,
Yeah, we ain't get there yet. We ain't got there.
You know.
But there's
Yeah,
an
I-
emotional. Oh,
I got my whole nother. I was asking y'all about the. Cause that's a
No,
whole
the
nother-
grandpa. Yeah, I think that I noticed that the whole last scene. I was like, where is he at? And it's either maybe they weren't like maybe he isn't their biological grandpa, which would make everything before very weird
Yeah.
because she went to him first and everything. So like that doesn't make sense. So like the only thing that does make sense is that he did film a scene where he was killed by Fisk, and that's why he's gone. But then they just didn't refill. There was like whatever. Like it really is. That's the whole thing. That was the biggest glaring thing. I was like, where is the grandpa? Like that was
Right.
weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me because there's definitely a missing emotional beat here somewhere. Because
Mhm.
even in Maya's character in the last episode is different than the episode we left her on. Like there was some, and I get there was a big emotional thing, but there was something else that needed to come there. And
we
I
never. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No. We never what.
We never got a reconciliation, a true reconciliation or talk with Bonnie. Like
No,
that was
not
such
at
a big
all.
deal.
Yeah, and it was just dropped. But I will say, your boy Biscuit benefited from these short episodes.
Period.
People saying that even Biscuit was
They
there.
were teasing me. Grandma was like, Maya got Biscuit all involved in this. I was like, yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. Biscuit all dancing and happy. I was like, yeah, you dance. You dance, boy. You enjoy your last moments. So his death was probably also cut. That's my headcanon. This short episode saved you, Biscuit. Don't you ever come back. You better stay in comics. That's what you better say.
Wow.
Biscuit survived. And I really do think that the grandfather is biological. Even Biscuits went to him.
Yeah.
So
I
no,
would say like
it
it doesn't make
just-
sense. Yeah.
Right?
So
It makes sense. It makes
maybe
sense.
maybe they were like, we don't want to go to MA. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
The other thing about
the tone switched. You're right. So sorry.
this fifth episode,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel got a
out
Marvel.
of all of them,
Marvel got a
was
Marvel.
the PG-13.
Yes.
Now,
We thought we were making bets on who was gonna die this entire, and then no one died.
No
Like,
one.
Yeah.
There were in illogical ways. The last episode. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but
all right, yeah, we're
but
gonna.
yeah,
we obviously have some
We're
issues.
gonna get
But I guess I thought I was gonna be the only one to bring this up, and now we all had the same thing. Okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I can like
Yeah.
I can
like
like
the
this
show.
series
Yeah.
as a whole without like being a critic and identifying what I'm seeing. That's my job.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's like, on one hand, again, I got to go to the mom because they brought everything full circle when it came to the mom, because they showed this amazing impactful scene where Maya was kind of going through all the different stages to see her mom again, and her mom at the wreck and talking with her, like,
Mhm.
and it was just like, it was such a needed moment for Maya as a character to make her be able to move forward, because it's kind of like the grandmother said, like there's a connection that was separate. One was because of her, but the other was because she was disconnected from her mom. Her mom,
Mhm.
no kind of connection there because it was an immediate death. And then the other side of that is the mother being a healer and showing the scene with the mother healing the bird. And I was kind of like, every single episode has kind of shown the generation after generation. The last one was, of course, the mom, which was such a beautiful moment. And then, of course, transitioning to show like the scene at the crash. And I was kind of wondering, I was like, did the mom, I don't know if you guys got it, did the mom heal Maya and keep her alive? Or I don't know.
I thought that's where I was going to go in. Like, instead of healing herself, she was
the
going
way
to keep
that
Maya
they were
alive.
going with it, it looked like that was it was. But then they showed another scene. It was just like, you know, her hair was caved in, so she was just okay. I don't know.
Her heartbeat stopped. The caption said the heartbeat was going, and then it stopped. So she died.
Right.
She didn't die right on impact, but she did. I don't know. They left it kind of ambiguous at whether she healed or not. But it does explain like why Maya wasn't reacting much in the car, because she was like, "Oh, my mom's got it. Like she's a healer." I don't think she
Yeah.
accepted that she died later on. So that
Right.
actually put things in perspective. I was like, oh, that's why Maya didn't react so much, because she knew her mom would help. She just assumed her mom would heal her, like she did the bird, which is also what I thought was going to happen. I was like, oh, this is foreshadowing. I thought someone was going to come back, like the bird, like whatever,
Right,
like
right.
do that to a human. Then she did the other thing. I was like,
The power thing was what also showed me. I was like, huh? How's this working? Like, you gotta go
there was a
full,
lot with that.
Dragon Ball and whatnot. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because at first I was like, they did the swirl thing from the What If season 2 character again, like the blue water pool thing, and I was like, all right, did they know this was happening before they made that? But then you haven't explained why it's only going through. I was waiting for the explanation of why it only goes through women of the bloodline. Is like why they left the guys out. I didn't know this was a cultural thing, so I don't want to speak too much on it. So I don't know if this is something that's based on legend or things like that.
Yeah. A lot of indigenous cultures are matrilineal. Like Judaism is matrilineal. Like you're considered only certain, like some things just travel through blood. Like that's just, So this is obviously made up, like it's powers, but some things are like, some tribes are matriarchal. So like the leader will go through the mom instead. So like that's, I think that's what they're playing at here. Yeah.
And I was waiting for that explanation because I do know that, or even so, like you're only considered if it's your mom's side that you come from this line of the family versus that. So that's all great. I just needed that to be with the state that Marvel and Disney is in, where they have alienated a lot of their male fan base with some of their other stuff. Just explain that, and that would have been a great explanation instead of just saying, you know what I mean? Like you just needed a little bit more information. That could have just been me.
I think if they would have given a little bit more time to unpack, because what would have been a really dope moment is for Maya to be there with her grandfather and her grandmother. Like to just have a scene with them, kind of like after she had the vision with her mom, her going to them, be like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but this is all the dirt I've done. And I don't know how to proceed forward. I don't want to kill him. I've already made a choice not to kill him, but he's not going to stop. And so it's like that never happened. It was more so like from that point, I knew where the show was going to go. It's going to like, oh, okay, she could have killed him when she had the chance. She didn't. And so it's like, okay, now she's got these powers and it's about the protection. And now they're going to go and find a way of her using her powers to just make everything work out. And I think that slant is kind of the detriment of it. Because then that's where the tone changed. And even the perception of how it went.
Right. I was really hoping for the whole family to come together. Right. So like, obviously it wasn't a secret that her mom had these healing powers. So even if it was like just the through the mom's line of like where these powers come from, the whole family could know this is our family. This is our family heritage. And I just felt like they excluded everybody, all the other characters that we spent a lot of time with like Biscuit and the grandfather and even the is he uncle or cousin? This roller skate
Uncle Henry.
Uncle Henry, yeah.
Uncle.
Yeah, but Bonnie got excluded too. Bonnie's like I would say she's been the most excluded. Like I think that they spent so much time saying, "Man, it's so special." Damn, Bonnie, what happened to Bonnie? Bonnie didn't get the same line. Who's her mama? Like that's
right.
There's so much I have questions. You're right. I have so many questions about the things, and we only got 5 episodes, so we didn't get.
And so maybe this was 2 seasons. We would have got more of the family connections because I thought Bonnie and her relationship was going to be a crucial part of this.
I know.
And I just feel like they cut all these people out.
It's 5 episodes. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm trying to say? Like normally, at least it would be 6.
6, right? That feels like something got deleted.
I feel like there's an episode between 4 and 5 that they just completely cut out. Because honestly, there should have been a scene with Maya apologizing to Bonnie. She didn't even apologize.
I agree.
Face, let alone
I feel like this is a regular season. Fisk wouldn't have been the main antagonist of this season. He would have been a background antagonist, and then they would have had their thing. And I think because it wasn't, you kind of shoehorn Fisk in here, who he went cartoony again the last episode, like the end of Hawkeye. It didn't make any sense. That wasn't.
Well, I can debate that because we haven't gotten there yet. But there's something specific about that scene that is really important. I wanted to get your psychological perspective on what was happening to him and the aftermath of it. We haven't gotten there yet, though. But anyway, so yeah, I digress because I know I sent us down the spiral. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I agree that like I think Maya should have apologized to Bonnie, and then the grandmother should apologize to Maya. Like, just the way the uncle, I thought it was beautiful with the uncle. He did it better. I was like, that's the top tier level of how when Maya's family turned their back on her, and she was like, "You left me in New York," and he'd be like, just looking down and be like, "I fucked up.
Afraid.
I'm sorry."
They were
Like, I
all
didn't know what
dealing
to
with
do.
trauma, and they
And
didn't
she
know
knows
how
he
to
means
do
it.
Yeah,
She knows he meant it.
Yeah. And I mean, technically the grandmother did in her own way, like she gave the most emotion to Maya than to anybody else in that fourth episode. She made herself emotionally vulnerable because she knew for a fact this girl is seeing right through her. Like she can't hide it. Like she know the dirt. And Maya called out on it, which I appreciate. It's just you can feel that there are certain threads that they just left out. And I think it's because initially when this was being done, they had said this was a full season. They never said it was limited series. They said this was connected to the MCU and all this. And then it changed from this is a limited run. And now it's like going to be like a weekly for 5 or 6 episodes. Then it turned to releasing everything at once in 5 episodes. So I think this is Marvel trying to kind of push it to the side. But if
shame
from even just the 4 episodes that we got, those are still better than anything the Disney Plus shows have done. But we'll go there in a second. I'm let me be careful because I don't want to trigger nobody.
No, I agree. This had the most fertile storytelling like options or bed that I wanted to know the different. I wanted to see the town come together. I wanted to see all the culture. I wanted to see her go to try to be a queen pin. I wanted to see her be a queen pin, but starting with her own family, kind of whatever mafia situation they had in there. Yeah, I know you want to move on, but like I was interested. I was tapped in.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why it's got the rating that it is. Like people know under the veil of all this is a good show. And it's like even with them PG-13 and cutting stuff off in the 5th episode, the show in and of stuff still has the same impact. But anyway, let's keep it going. So from the moment that the grandmother got the sewing machine last time, she was working on a suit and she finally completed the suit, but at that point she had already been kidnapped by Fist. We didn't know what was going to happen, and that was when Maya saw her mom, and her mom kind of healed her heart, and basically kind of showed her what she needed to do. Like she needed to go and take up the mantle and continue down this road. Now, when Maya goes and gets to the ground, like I thought it was a really well shot, like the parade and the celebration. I thought they shot it really well. It didn't seem like it was, what's the word, pandering or too off kilter. I think it actually seemed really a joyous celebration. I don't think I've seen anything like that without it being a catch to it. And so even with everything going on, they didn't disrupt that with killing civilians, which I appreciate them doing it like that. But Maya's uncle, Henry, and Biscuits were like, something is wrong. Biscuits, I think, identified like, I don't know who these sketchy cats are, but we gotta get him out of here. Who that? Who that over here? He ain't at the barbecue. And so Henry immediately was trying to figure out what was going on. And then Maya was like, okay, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. This is Fist. Now, from that point, that's where everything kind of goes awry, in my opinion, because from the moment that Maya goes and sees Fisk and knows what's going on, and Fisk kind of is like, yeah, this is what you wanted. You got that smoke coming. Like, I'll let you figure out who you want to die, basically. And from that point, it just
it was silly. It was a silly thing. Why are you about to blow up the festival? Like there's no. It was silly. It was like the tracksuit mafia from the end of Hawkeye. Like it didn't belong.
I think it would have been fine if. How do I put this nicely?
Lean into the mature
went off. If they would have just went off the rails and started to cause mass pandemonium around this whole entire thing, like without waiting, just doing it, and then Maya having to assess what to do in the situation, instead of Fisk waits to the last minute, and then I don't know, Henry stops one of them, Biscuits goes and run over a few of them, and Maya does this with
With
the
a monster
generations
truck,
of
man.
different people, and she gives the ability to
Yeah. Oh, that's a thing.
and
Like,
Bonnie.
it's
And I was like, this is classic Marvel being freaking Marvel. Because the truth of the matter is, if you go back to episode 3, the fight scene in episode 3, bro, Maya was going off. She was going off. There's no need for any of these powers. It was even stated in, I think, the last episode by the grandmother. It was like, when it's a life and death situation, that's when you use it in the moment. Not like it's kind of like its own pseudo kind of power.
Combo pack.
And it's like when I'm sitting there watching Bonnie like punching them, and like grandmother was like giving uppercuts, and I'm like, there's no blood, there's no. I was like, this is the most Marvel way to do this fight, and they didn't have to do it. They could have cut all this and just let Maya be Maya, straight up.
Let her be Maya. They've really defined these powers at this point, because you're like, oh, okay, is she the skills of her ancestors and the skills add on and okay, that's cool. Oh no, her mom had healing powers, so they also have other supernatural things. And what ancestor could just move a freight train? Like, where did that come from? Like, so there, I think Marvel doesn't. I think some people at Marvel don't get superpowers, and if you don't have a defined set, it's very hard to build up tension and drama. And if you're just randomly, I can also give powers. It worked in Thor 3, right? Everybody,
Oh,
hey,
I was about to say that.
No.
I was about to say
don't do that.
Give people
Don't do
powers
that.
all the time.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
And what powers did you give them? Like, it just
don't put that evil on this show. All right.
I'm just
keep
saying.
that evil away from me. Now.
I am just saying that Fisk saved this scene again. Every time I rolled my eyes at something, he would come in and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I still like this character."
And it's weird too, because she did. I think the grandmother kind of unpacked it, like what each generation was. One of them was strength. One of them was like cunning, and one of them was healing. You know what I'm saying? Like they defined it, but they did it so quick, it just was meaningless.
And every generation has a different power. She can just pull out any power anytime, narratively. Like, there's no. It's almost like Superman back in the 30s, where you could have shoot mini Superman or anything like that. It's just me and power thing. I need a set base. And also, I loved her outfit. If she was going to the X-Men Gala 2024, I would love that outfit. But as far as combat, I was like, I kind of miss your other outfit. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the culture or anything like that, but I was like, this is. I mean, you had tactical gear. The other outfit, you just got like, we can
listen.
There's a time and place.
I'm gonna say this. I think the tension would have been even more deeper if, while Mike can't understand what he's saying and Bonnie's translating, he shoves Bonnie to the floor and he goes to grab the grandmother and be like, "You took a knife from me. I'm gonna take a knife from her." And he's about to, and then she flips the F out, kung fu's the guys to the walls with blood splatting everywhere. And because then we go into, you know, her going full like Zen on Fisk, and I was just like, what the heck is this? And I was just like, you just pulled the rug from me with the mature rating. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And what's weird is that, like, the whole time I'm like, could this be mutation? Could this be a mutant thing? Whatnot? That'd be cool. I mean, I remember when they used to do that with Namor, being like, he's the first mutant and he's Atlantic. I'm like, cool. And again, the idea and concepts are there. It's just the execution of it, which is why I was like, I'm not even gonna get my hopes up, because I did that with Secret Invasion and then burned my ass at the end. But
again, up until the moment they get to the celebration, if that fight and the way they handled all that, I could have taken away from that, and the season would have been better.
Yeah.
But Vanessa, what were some of your takes on it?
All right, let me address a few things. I want to say the Choctaw Nation was heavily involved in this, which good on Marvel, because in the past they would have done this 10 years ago. This would have been a disaster. But I appreciate that they had to make the effort to involve the actual tribes of Oklahoma. It was pretty dope. Here's where you run into the problem, though, because Indigenous people of America and North America, South America, everywhere, have been displaced, genocided, harmed primarily by white Europeans. Now you have the scene, a beautiful Choctaw Nation powwow. People are just dancers. There's announcers. People are dancing. And then you have white dudes coming in trucks with guns, and it literally looks like it's about to be a mass murder, a massacre, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, they're not about to do this, right? Like to one of the most historically genocided groups in our country. Like, are we doing this image? Like the optics. So I knew right then and there, this episode was gonna go. They had defanged it. It felt like they filmed a different episode that was much more violent, much more intense. And then Marvel when Disney were like, no, do something else. You cannot have this much death and murder. I knew as soon as I saw all of the beauty and the tribes, and I was like, there's no way this is going to end the Marvel way. And I was right. There was no blood. Biscuits ran over 2 trucks in a monster truck. And we didn't see, they were like, we didn't see nobody's head get crushed.
Nothing
we didn't see
got
blood,
squished.
nothing. Dude shot him from how many yards away? And we saw no blood. He was like,
I didn't see a hole in his head or anything.
Nothing.
In the barn, everybody had guns and no one used them.
No one used them. It was the most, like, I thought in the scene, I was like, this is cute. It could have been done so much better. Like, I've seen Sailor Moon, Sailor Scouts scenes, team up scenes better than this shit. Like, I really liked it. I love that they gave Bonnie and her grandma Chula things to do, but it was bad. It's not a great way to do that because it looked so awkward. She was like, boom, like it was like punch now, all right, kick now, and I was
Grandma
like,
Batman punched somebody, I think.
I'm not trying to compare it, but that's why I told someone, I'm like, what the strength of the show was the family aspect. That was the strength of the show for it. Much like the Miss Marvel for me, which I dig that show, is that I cared about the Khan so much.
Yeah.
And even when you do see him later on in another project fighting, they're not busting up gadgets and whatnot. They're using a broom to slap someone, and it's just like the fact that they're engaging is enough. I don't need them to level up and go Super Saiyan all of a sudden and whatnot. And
this is a problem that a lot of like the Flash had, a lot of CW shows had, where they're like, normal people are boring. Yeah, everyone needs to have, like, by the time the Flash ended, every single person had a fucking superpower besides Iris, and even they gave her powers like multiple times. Speed. Like it's insane. Like you can just have normal people be normal. I think that's empowering and it's cool, and especially with how cultural and deep it is. I love that. But it felt like they were like, oh yeah, shit, we didn't do it. Bonnie's a woman too in this family. Let's give her something to do. Like it. And then the thing, and he was just like, nah, and then she was like that, and it was like therapy, and I was like, but I will say that coming back to that place where with the walls shaking and like,
I want to talk about that. We're gonna talk about it.
So those are my thoughts on that part, but I
just want to say one thing about the grandma again, and what you're talking about is everybody doesn't need superpowers to be strong, and I think that somehow these writers have it in their minds that unless a person can like bench a ton or something, that they're weak. Like Princess Leia in the original Star Wars original trilogy is the strongest, most competent character in the whole trilogy, in my opinion. I could debate that all. Strongest, most competent character. I would have much rather see Grandma, who has connections to all sides of this community, rally the people at this tribe to like push Fisk's militia out, or stand up, or protect Maya, or something like that. And that's Grandma's strength, because Grandma's not terrifying a random thug, but all of us who she changed her diapers, we gonna go like Grandma said, get your gun, you come and get your gun. Grandma said, hey, I was thinking that. Yes. Have y'all seen that? Anyway, perfect. So Grandma doesn't need to do 3 somersaults and a backflip and then ninja kick somebody in the thing. That's not her strength. Bonnie was already was fireman, or was she?
She was a firefighter.
Yeah,
like she could have called her dispatch. Like, hey yo, homies, we need some help. Like anything.
And I never got the same tension moment I got when her leg was crushed by the train, and it's something like that. I thought Fisk was gonna like damage her hand so she couldn't like sign as well or something, or like you took my eye. I'm and something like that would have hit more. It would have been more impactful to what was going on to see Grandma punch. And I hope they all had a blast. I hope that the nation really enjoyed this. I know that this is the first one that felt like, though, it was like it wasn't written for story, it was written to like appease or just like and I think there was a story there you could have told that did both. And again, we don't know what behind the scenes were. We don't know if they said we're cutting these episodes short, or we don't believe in this project. We don't know what was going on. But I think there was a better story here, and even if they continued this, I think there's still this is a great ground for story. I really do.
Yeah, someone said it on Twitter where there was like, it feels like too mature rating, and then it just bleeds into CW rating and whatnot. And when I heard that, and after seeing the finale, I was just like, yeah, I see that. And I'll say this right now, whether you ask me later or not, like I would watch Maya again in another team up. It's another thing I can say about the new characters we've been getting is that whether I don't like their stories fully all the way or whatnot, they have a great casting ability. The characters are intriguing enough to be like, okay, I want to see how she interacts now with so-and-so in the team or so-and-so in another area or city or whatnot.
Yeah, I think that Vanessa hit the nail on the head because, like I said, like I didn't personally want to sit there and see them start killing these people in the middle of the celebration. I didn't want to see that. Like, I don't know how I would have emotionally reacted to that. It would have made more of an impact as far as how they could have designed it. But I think the truth of the matter is, if Maya was able to go up against Daredevil, we know what Daredevil is capable of with tons of other people and hold her own very early on. She's a more proficient fighter now. She could have been able to handle that whole situation if she had proper planning. Like, say she worked with her grandfather, like, hey, can you give me a shield or something? Like anything. Like, there's so many different ways that this could have went down. And Maya's smart. And they didn't use any of her technical prowess. They didn't use her ability to sneak around. They didn't utilize it well. They kind of just had her kind of go in, use the powers, and done. But I think that if they would have allowed her to be able to sneak in, find them, tell them, look, you need to do this, get people out, coordinate, communicate, because that was the thing. Like, now she knows who she is, but she loves her family. She knows how to communicate to them. They all can communicate. And so through Sign, she could have gotten them out and just went to work, systematically taking it all down and then working her way to Fist. And it could have been to a point where she just felt like she doesn't need to kill anymore, but she just wanted to incapacitate. They could have done that and made it still hit the same exact lines, because we've seen what she's capable of in a roller skater. She made a freaking MacGyver gun,
right?
Some rollerblades, bro. So you can't tell me she didn't need the powers.
She didn't. And
if they would have just had it be that, you know, she gets into this really bad fight with Fist, and Fist was basically like, you have to kill me or I'm going to kill you, and she just chooses not to. And then all of a sudden, like, she can heal herself, and then she touches him and heals him. That would have been fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have to be they used the powers like that. It should have been a life or death. I said it episodes ago. Like, if it's a life or death thing, one time, cool. It's their ancestors protecting her. But anyway, I digress through all that. I could have written that better.
No. What you're saying is, what makes the character cool is the skill level. And if you take away that she no longer needs the skills that we see her build up and utilize, you kind of deflate what made that character interesting and cool. And every power doesn't have to be an overt power. It's you just have a passive kind of a power that enhances, but like just adds to, but doesn't overshadow all the skills we've seen you built up and develop.
Yeah. But anyway, so now we're gonna go to, let me see if I can find the darn shot. The moment that Maya kind of has a heart and tries to heal Fist. I don't think she did that out of malicious intent. I think she definitely, it was like a dangerous situation because he was ready to come down.
She did the Mati heart. She had the power to ring the Captain Planet ring of heart.
But she was like, nah, you need some help, dog. And so she touches him and he just cannot move in there. Like, you see him, like, I give shout out to Vincent D'Onofrio because he looked like he wanted to destroy her. Because one, he's in his dark place and he's reliving his trauma because he's hearing what's going on the other side. Like, his mother is getting thrashed by his dad, and he can't physically do anything about it. He's just stuck there. And Maya's pleading with him, like, uncle, like, you need to let this go. Like, you need to be healed. Like you need to stop. And he just was like, I can't. And it was such a powerful scene. It's just how we got to this scene was just weird. Like, how we got here didn't line up. But I think the scene was powerful because it did show her love for him, because she really wanted to spare him. She called him uncle. Like, she called him straight out, like, you are still my family, regardless of what you're trying to do, regardless of what you've done, which shows her character progression, shows her evolution, which is great. But if you guys want to unpack the scene as far as like Vincent D'Onofrio's performance, and then also kind of what it meant, because I want you, Ant, to tell me, with removing that aspect, because I think the reason why he didn't want it to be removed, because that's the source of his power. That trauma was the source and the finite point. Like, I mean, you can call them a metaphorical hammer, was like, okay, you will fear me because I have this. But I wanted you to kind of unpack, like, what did she take away, and why is he now, like, what have you done? And he couldn't do anything at that point.
So interesting enough, I had 2 clients this week that actually had killed a parent when they were below the age of 10 for abuse reasons, right? And I'd seen a TikTok where the guy was talking about, in therapy, the therapist was saying, well, forgive. It's like, well, you don't deserve forgiveness, and why are you putting this on us? And I had to explain to people who were agreeing with him, is some people can't drop their resentment if they still can't forgive, and even that forgiveness of yourself, right? So you can logically know this isn't your fault. Like, Bruce Wayne can logically know that he's not at fault for stopping the killer of his parents. He can know it's not his fault logically, that he doesn't remember the face, but he can still feel like it's his fault. And some people, they utilize that. And so I think what we've seen where Fisk goes into these rages, he's still stuck in that place. He's still stuck in that trauma. He's still that little boy in that room that picks up the hammer. And he's utilized that to get these things done and do these extreme acts of violence. And I think what we saw was Maya letting go of her resentment by forgiving him. And then asking him to do the same. And what she said, I'm not your legacy, I'm theirs. But then she still recognized that he was still her family. And that was really powerful, because a lot of people, when their family hurts them, they don't know why, and they can't let go of why somebody who should have protected me hurt or betrayed me. And if I forgive you when you don't deserve it, it's kind of like, I'm gonna butcher this, but if I said I'm going to give you $5 million, but if you take that $5 million, a person that's hurt you the most in your life gets $10 million, would you take it? And a lot of people won't, because they don't deserve it. So they won't ease their own pain and hurt, because it means forgiving the other person. So Maya being able to go through that and say, that was her forgiveness. Uncle, you need to let go of your hurt, your pain. And Fisk, he holds on to it because he knows that lets him tap into something and do the things he's done throughout we've seen in the series. And I think that's what really disturbed him. He's like, what did you do? And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he handles things going forward without being able to tap, because that rage that gave him almost superhuman strength or ability to do acts of violence and justify them. And so I know I'm talking a lot, but because I'm trying to condense all these things, but that was the most interesting scene to me, because and what he did after that, of like, what did you do? What did you take from me? You took my pain. You healed me, and you stopped me from being that little boy that goes into that room and kills his father.
Yep. You guys want to comment?
Did that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I actually have something kind of to add to that. It's easy when you're, because especially when someone like has an anger problem like Fisk, it's so much easier to hold on to that than to deal with, because my therapist told me anger is a secondary emotion. But when people use it as no, you're right. It's like people use it as a primary emotion to block what they're actually trying to feel. I know this from experience. When my dad died 2 years ago, I used a lot of anger to block my grief, and that was unhealthy. And And I think I see a lot of like Fisk's anger. I get it. So when he said, "What did you do?" When you're not ready to forgive or to heal, and someone just forces it on you, I can't even imagine. It's like something went missing. It's like someone took a part of you, because until you heal naturally, like he has to heal that on his own. And if someone just heals it for you, it's like if you lived your whole life without an arm, and then someone suddenly attaches one to you, and you're like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do? What did you do to
It's a
me?"
raw
Like,
nerve. It's a raw nerve
exactly.
now.
It's not supposed to. It's just. I think she did what she wanted. I think she did what she could to forgive him for herself, but I don't know if what she did was the best choice for him, because it might have made him worse.
That's a great point.
I think it's definitely going to make him more reactionary. If that was my guess, going to make him definitely more reactionary. And so, you're right. It is a secondary emotion, usually based in fear, right?
Mhm.
So, and then it's kind of one of the ways we've evolved. We use anger to protect ourselves. We might have worked well when we were on the savannah or whatever, and we were fighting a lion. That might have worked really well. It's kind of like I explain this to people all the time. Like if we're all walking through the savannah and we see a lion 2 miles out, our adrenaline starts pumping, and we're going to try to run, or at least outrun each other to get through it, which works well in that situation. But now you fast forward to now, and you have that same stress of having a bill due, or debt, or Michael Myers is trying to get to you. You can't get your keys in the door because all that stuff isn't great for your fine motor skills. Same way with our emotions. These things develop so that we can survive, and sometimes they're short-term effective and long-term harmful. And so now his mechanism where he didn't have to deal with that is gone. And so what happens now? We got a whole new Fisk, and I'm very interested to see what they do with that. I'm very interested when the next conflict comes up, how he handles it.
Yeah. Ron, did you have anything to add?
I was so, by the time those powers were working, and then she like synchronized Fist, I was like, "What are you doing with this?" And then she was like, "Forgive, forgive, forgive," and I was like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" But then when he resisted, I was like, "Okay, cool. Whew. Okay, that I was gonna feel like a cop out to me. The intent is honorable. I like it, but I was just like, that felt funky for a second. I was just like, what are we doing with this character now? It just goes back to how I felt that, I liked the episode, but execution wise threw me off with what the concept and plans had in place and what it was trying to say and what it was trying to get out of me as a viewer.
Yeah. So from that point, they show Fisk getting away, getting on his plane and dipping. But before that happens, of course, we go back to the family. And again, this goes back to we've already kind of gone over this. The grandfather wasn't there, but Maya does show up. It's a beautiful celebration and whatnot because Maya's kind of coming to her own. But then we get an end credit scene. And in the end credit scene was very fascinating because there's like a notification link on the TV, and the TV basically is like, there's a need for a new mayor, like who's that brawler, who's that, that dog, that can go and, bring some fear and shake things back up the right way. Now, the interesting thing,
I'm a brawler.
The interesting thing about this is that in the past 72 hours, the MCU now has been canonized with the Netflix Marvel universe. Okay. So the things that happen in the Netflix are now overlapped. So what that means is that Vincent D'Onofrio, if they so choose, will be the mayor of New York within the MCU. It was already stated, I think, in 2022 that there was a rumor that they would go off of a certain comic book that had Wilson Fisk as the mayor. And that is what Born Again, I think that's the name of the Daredevil series.
Yes.
That's what that's gonna be about. And now that we have this more refined, in my opinion, off the rails, because we don't know what he's gonna do. Oh, I think it's so interesting because there's going to be so many different factors to this. Because you, as a superhero, you can't just, stop the mayor if he's already got the police in his pocket. People already fear him, and when he gets the mayor candidacy, he's going to use that in such a very fascinating way with all the street level heroes, and he's going to use it to his advantage. And I'm so excited to see what they do this from an MCU standpoint, and not even just from a show standpoint with Daredevil. But yeah.
Oh man, I was pumping fists. I was like, oh shit, here we go. But at the same time, I was like, my memory was like, wait a minute. Didn't he try to do something similar in season 2 or 3 where he was trying to go up for election and for something? And then that's when, Matt was like, if you try anything, Vanessa's going to go in jail and whatnot. So I was confused. of like, didn't we try this early on? But I was like, all right, if anything, this gives a good opportunity to what some of the Netflix Marvel shows were trying to do at the time and say stuff. So this approach to Fisk, I'm not trying to start a big debate and start breaking news here, but it could reflect a lot of what's been happening in our real world, and I'll just leave it at there. Where it's like, it's a perfect...
I'll say it explicitly. This is very. That was like, I'm getting Trump vibes. I'm getting Trump vibes.
Even the writing. Even the writing.
He's a criminal.
Even the writing of the news.
He has murders on his record. Like, how could he be mayor?
I was like, no. I'll say it.
I'm a product of this town.
But what I saw, I rewatched the episode where he's with Matt in the jail, and he's like, "Son of a boxer," and he's like, "I'm gonna ruin your life," and so I was like,
"Yeah, this is very good."
Oh, thank you. She's my Joker.
No, thank you.
But he was like, I'm going. And one Nelson Percy, whatever. And he's like, no, it was me. He's like, no, you both took the laurels. You'll both take the consequences. And I remember in the comic books, like where Karen like sold his identity for some hit of heroin or something, and then just wrecked Daredevil's life. And they never got. Yeah, it got rough. I've
heard some things about Daredevil
and it never. And season 3 of Daredevil never quite got to that point of like.
Yeah, that's what I heard. What's her face supposed to like Karen die or she was?
I think it was getting to that point. I think that's where it was going. I think that's where it was going.
And so if you had something where he's just and I've seen these things are saying, oh, Wilson Fisk can be a Thanos in the MCU. No, let Wilson Fisk be Wilson Fisk. Like let Kingpin be Kingpin. Yes. And Kingpin is like in all this because you can bring the Punisher back and have the chemistry between him and is it John Burr?
Bring him back.
Oh, okay. You felt that, all right.
We love John Bernthal. Bring him back.
So like you could have him there. You could have, and he interacts with you. He interacts with people on different levels. Because like Spider-Man's like in that weird place where he can be a street level hero, but he also can be out there saving the planet. You could do all that with him and have Kingpin not get in the fist fights with them, but just control the workings of the city, or the cops hiding evidence, or the way the newspaper reports things like in real life, or there was a real guy that controlled New York City for decades. Probably multiple guys
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I was gonna say Lex Luthor. This is like Lex Luthor is such a good villain for Superman, and when they use him in that way, like President Lex era, because there's not much. Superman knows he's a bad guy, but like you can't just attack the president of the United States. Like it's levels. I love that, like when the villain becomes a political player, because a lot of politicians are villains. But I digress. But I think that's fun if they go that route, because it is reflecting of the way our politics are. Yeah, criminals becoming. In Nevada, we elected a dead brothel owner in 2020. Nevada.
I'm not surprised, but watching we hired a mayor twice who had drug convictions. So I mean,
This is
Marion
America.
Chicken.
It's
This is
America.
America.
It's America. Hey, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead-ish. He's dead. Yeah, all right.
Easy to work with then.
He's
What?
that's amazing. I want to hear more about that story. I need to know who that name
I'll
is.
link this. I'll gotta link you guys.
Yeah. But there's such a fertile ground of story here, and I don't squander it. You don't have to marvel it up. Don't give Fisk superpowers.
No.
Don't make it.
No.
Fisk should be the guy that's hiring superpower people out because they still need to pay their rent.
That's
Oh,
why
you
it's
got
there.
Yeah, you got a
That's
mutant
why it's
power,
there.
kid. You want to struggle, or you want to use this death touch to make some money for your people? Like, because my mutant power is literally being rich. Like my mutant power is being influential. Now
capitalism.
Yeah,
it's literally the power. That's power and money. It's still, you can have a Green Lantern ring all you want, but if no one respects you, who cares? Like that's the thing. Like money and power here in America and in New York, in this country, Wilson Fisk is a superpowered villain in that regard.
That's the balance of Marvel, where you have the fantastical with the Avengers, and then if you really want to go at the street level and the grounded level, you have you have Fisk, or even in instances with the X-Men, you have the mutual registration. You have all this stuff. Nothing, not everything has to be leveled up to 11.
No,
it drives me nuts when people are comparing him already to Thanos. When it's just like, no,
and having
a unique things.
Having a character has gangsters on the payroll, but also can just utilize the NYPD. like
that's enough.
That's scary. That's scary.
That's terrifying.
Or rezone your property so that your law office you have is no longer it's. There's so many things you could do with this character that doesn't come down to a fist fight, and I don't know if they have the creativity to do it.
I'll say that I think they do, only because they put him in the perfect position to really be an asset to the MCU as a whole. Because sooner than later, there are going to be more super heroes coming to New York. And what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like protect and serve. Like, okay, are you part of the Registration Act at this point? Are you going to be something that's doing this unlawfully? Are you technically a vigilante? Like, there's so many different ways that they can kind of work this with him. And I think that now that Born Again is going this route, and they've already said that the Netflix is canon, they could have somebody like Luke Cage show up in one of the other movies. They could have somebody like Jessica Jones show up in one of the movies or the shows to make this make more sense from a street level and up. And so I think the possibilities are so endless with it that I think it'll benefit them in the long run. Like, imagine when the Fantastic Four show up, when Mr. Fantastic kind of comes on the scene and he's like, I don't know if we should operate in this. Like, this dude is sketch. Like, I'm finding out some stuff. I've heard this,
or they're oblivious because Mr. Fantastic doesn't care about this stuff. Like, he does not end the political range. So maybe Fisk utilizes him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you could do something where you have, remember Heroes for Hire? Remember this old comic in the 90s where like you had random.
They brought it back.
Yeah, did they? Oh, that's cool.
They did it during DC Rebirth. Yeah.
That's cool. They're doing with the Thunderbolts and all this other trying to go suicide. Heroes for Hire was a great, because you could put Deadpool in it, you could put Wolverine in it, you could put Spider-Man on an episode or a movie of this, because the roster constantly changes, so you can constantly update it for different things. But you keep it street, you can keep it cosmic. There's so many different things you could do. I remember it was one issue where they brought Deadpool on just because he had a teleporter, but his teleporter got stolen in his own issue like months ago. He's like, oh no, I can't teleport. You don't have a flyer? No, we got a teleporter on our team for this mission. He's like, oh, y'all messed up. And there's so many things you could do with that. And like I said, Marvel has a chance to turn it around, get that social credibility back, and because there's so many things you could do. There's so many things you could do. And weirdly enough, I never thought I'd say this, Echo proved to me that you still have people, if you let them make the story and don't Marvelize it at the end, like you could have we're interested. We want to be interested. We want to give you our money. I want to buy Echo t-shirts. like just give us the story. Sorry.
Nah, I think this is all good. But anyway, let's kind of, I think that was a really good end credit scene. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best end credit scenes that any of the Disney Plus shows have done.
Or the movies in the last 2 years or so.
Yeah, and since you're right. Since Infinity War, this probably is the best end credit that actually makes you excited to see something.
Say it, Miss Shark. Say it.
No comment. I am not a
myself.
Marvel aficionado. I liked. No comment. I have no comment.
I'm by myself, but I really love the Eternals post credit scene with arrows and whatnot with that, just because it's so left field. And I was like, okay.
Wait, are you talking about the Blade? Or are you talking about
no the
Harry Styles?
Oh, the hair that came back and
Harry Styles was in that movie.
No.
It's a left field thing, and I love
There's
it.
a giant in the middle of the ocean that no one talks about. There's a giant in the middle of the ocean.
Isn't there like
a
giant salt lick in the middle with the
thing?
Anyway,
a Titan reached over the planet and no one's talked about it. You know how much money I would make in my profession if random giants came out of the Marvel, the therapist in Marvel. Making bank. I'm just telling you.
Right.
Oh, so the Hawk crashed through your living room, huh? Yes, it's the same thing. New York, you said? Try Jersey.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Let's give a general conclusion on episode 5 and what do we rate it, and then what do we have as far as our final rating for the season as a whole.
I will.
Sorry.
Let me go first. I will say this episode was a B for me. I liked it. I liked some parts of it, but I thought it was rushed and there was some stuff missing. So I think this episode was a B. I thought it was good. I liked, parts of it. Whatever. The whole series, I think I'm gonna give it an A though, because I think it was really strong and it had really a lot of good moments. And it just had good structure, good bones, things to work with. And I feel like it was just too short. So I'm going to give it an A overall, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Ronan?
I'm going to give this episode a B- or a C+. It really threw me off a little bit. I think that the concept and ideas were there, just execution's a whole other thing that I can go into. This show really, it's weird because you look back at those flashbacks of Hawkeye, it elevates what I remember of Maya Lopez in Hawkeye, and I like Maya Lopez now. I think what Laka Cox did was phenomenal. I want to see more of her with the rest of these characters. I want to see how she is with Moon Knight. I want to see how she is with She-Hulk and all and whatnot. And I would love for Maya's family to meet the Khans and see how that goes down.
Oh, so what was your rating for the episode versus the season?
A B-, C+ for this episode, and I would give it a solid B for the series. Again, a character that I'm not too familiar with. I wasn't really too pumped for this show, and yet it intrigued me from the get-go with the first 4 episodes.
And
so, I'm gonna give this particular episode a C. It was a C for me. And I hope that I've been looking at a lot of Facebook groups that are specifically like I don't miss say it, but the Nation Facebook groups, like so when the season 2 of What If came out and their reactions to that. I hope that the representation was there for a group of people that's often in minority media, and I hope they got something really out of this. Just the way that it was executed for me was a C. I'm with Ronan. I hope she comes back. I hope somebody goes over her character and defines her powers a little bit more, so it's a little bit more entertaining for that. But overall, the series itself, I give a B. Probably, I want to say B+, but that last episode tanked it for me, so I'm gonna go C for the episode, B for the whole series. And I hope we see Maya again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen the episode twice. First time I saw it, I was like, man, I need to go sleep on this. I was like, because I was talking to Ronan, I was like, Ronan, do you want to talk about this? And then I was like, I need to get some sleep. I'm getting sleep tonight. That's what I'm going to do. Because if I think about this too hard, I'm going to be upset. But after seeing it again, I did really value certain scenes. Like, I think the 5th scene at the end with Maya was really impactful. I think the scene with her mom was really good. I think the first half of the episode was okay. It's just when we got to the climax, you feel like there are threads that are just missing. You feel like there's a whole episode missing. There's certain things they didn't cross out. I mean, I feel bad for the actress who played the role of Bonnie because Bonnie really could have been a very instrumental part of her reformation to who she needs to be. Like that person that could be there for her. Bonnie, this whole entire season, never got to really be there for Maya. And that's all she wanted to do. Like Maya was running from her the whole entire time. She had more time with her grandmother, who she barely loved or hated, than talking.
Don't tell
with
Bonnie she's here.
Right. Then like Bonnie that openly loves and cares about her. And I feel bad for the actress, but I mean, I don't know. As far as the episode, I give the episode a C or a B minus. It's in between. I could take it or leave it. I just wish they would have changed some things, man. But then I also give it credit because of the end credit scene. So I'm torn. But the series as a whole is absolutely an A. Like I think this is a really good show. The sad thing is, and I hate to burst all you guys' bubble, is that Marvel basically was like, "Yeah, this is a one and done. You're probably not going to see Maya at all anymore. Like you're not going to see her anymore. You're not going to see any of these characters anymore." And I don't know, but I mean, word of mouth can talk. I mean, it's just some fanboys are just really, they in their minds, they were like, I want more Fist. That's what I thought the show was going to be. I want more Daredevil. That's what I thought the show was going to be. And because it wasn't, they're tanking their perception of what the show is, even though they saw all of it. And
they were in it just enough.
Yeah, I didn't need a show about Daredevil.
Yeah.
Daredevil was enough. And Daredevil, how they use Daredevil is how I want Marvel to use other characters and other things. If it makes sense, that character shows up.
I thought it worked. Yeah, agreed.
You know, hey, comes in, does his thing. Daredevil goes off. Hey, Punisher comes in, does his own thing, goes off. Wolverine happens to be drinking at a bar. Hey, that's Wolverine.
Like
he
interacting,
doesn't care about what you're doing. Like, and I think that that's a shame because I would definitely watch a show of the daughter of the Kingpin, Maya, taking over New York, or being the Fist to Wilson Fisk, the Mayor Fisk, like being the Kingpin to Mayor Fisk. There's so much things you could do with this character, and I think she is getting punished for the missteps in other projects. And I think people wanted to hate. Usually, I'm the guy that goes, well, Disney has been making some mistakes. That's why people, but this time, I really do think you didn't give it a chance. I saw people already hating on the show before they saw the show, and then see the show, and they were saying stuff that wasn't really true. And yes, Marvel has done some questionable things in the past, but this wasn't it. This could have been we asked for good story. This was fertile ground for good story.
It was.
And shame.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. But the silver lining with it is that they did give a show a chance at a different tone, a decent story, and a different perspective. So maybe we might get something like that again. It's going to be really interesting to see what Daredevil is going to be, to be honest with you, because what is that going to be?
Are they reshooting all of it or something?
So the rumor is they're reshooting all of it, but I don't think that's possible because there are certain threads of this that I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know because I somebody said that, but I don't think that they're reshooting the whole entire thing. But it's weird because whatever they shot, they were like, yes, it's got Jessica Jones in here. Yes, it's got the Punisher in here, but we want now this to be a continuation from what the Netflix version was. So whatever they initially had wasn't that. It was kind of like a reboot. And even I think Lucas was talking about like they want to continue what they did from the Netflix series. So I'm all for that.
I believe the new writers' contracts it's what I heard from the rumor was that they had to adjust based on that. Every show, like the showrunners have to be a writer on the writers team. That shifted a bunch of shows, and I think with Daredevil Daredevil was also affected. The new writers, and that happens a lot with DC projects where the showrunner is not a part of the actual writing team. So that's one of the biggest things that was that was part of the strikes that happened, and that was part of the new contract. The writers got a lot of good stuff in their deal. So I think that was why they were ultimately affected, because they had to shift their writers room. I don't know about the reshooting. That seems like a lot of work. But that's what I heard, was that they had to adjust their writing staff because their original showrunner wasn't in the writing team, or they didn't have enough writers for each episode, something like that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think we're
watching it regardless. I don't know why we
no. I mean, you and me, and we talked about this, I think, last year. It's like, why can't we have a Marvel Nights?
Right.
Like, I honestly, I feel like now that Marvel Spotlight, quote unquote, is tonally elevated, let's just let it be. Like, figure that out. Like, what other Marvel Nights character can you make that be a Spotlight series? Like, pick somebody else and do the same exact thing. Don't marvel it up at the end. Just go for it.
And what comics would do in their own, Wolverine in his own comic would be bloody and guts and everything like that. Come over with the X-Men, they would tone them down a little bit. You didn't see as much things like that. You can do that in the series. In their own series, they can go crazy. And then when they come over and they're doing something with the power pack, let them, like, they don't have to kill people or anything like that.
Right.
You know, you have multiple colors you can paint with, Marvel. You have multiple colors you can paint with.
Yeah.
And we want to buy it. So
we just want you to give us something good, bro. Give us something different and good. That's it. That's it. But yeah, any other thoughts and conclusions on Echo or the future of MCU when it comes to possible Marvel Nights? And like, would you like to see Jessica Jones again? Would you like to see Luke Cage again? I don't know. Any other final thoughts, y'all?
Yes, I would like to see them all again.
Anybody but Iron Fist.
Yes, agreed.
Hey, it depends on what Iron Fist you're talking about, because if you're talking about Chris, what's her name? Jessica. God, I forgot her name. What's her name?
Yeah, her. I
Colleen
do like
Wing.
her.
Colleen Wing, yeah.
Bring her back.
Love her.
I usually don't see Daughters of the Dragon, but I actually met her and I kind of melted a little bit. I was
Daughters
like,
of the Dragon.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, I met her too.
You folded.
I did. She was on the phone with her boyfriend. I was like, you better not mess up.
I'm right here. Right.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh yeah.
Gotta figure it out. Wanna go night? All right. Ronan, what's your final thoughts, man?
We like them trying out this new stuff. It's just that you got to conclude it well, whatnot. To me, I think the best things out of the past few years for Marvel, outside of Guardians Volume 3, was the specials. Werewolf by Night, Guardian Holiday Special, and those didn't feel they were what's the polite way of saying? I'll say it. They look like they weren't fucked with. They let the teams go, let them do their thing, and it's a part of Marvel. It doesn't have to be too directly, and yet if people like Werewolf by Night, like I did, and they want to see them interact with other characters, the window's open.
Yeah. Was that a Marvel Spotlight?
The specials were a different thing. This was a Marvel Spotlight. This is
the first of the Marvel Spotlights.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's good for you guys that are watching. Go and check out and see what are the next things that they're talking about for Marvel Spotlight, because they wouldn't just label it something like that. They weren't thinking about doing more with it. So we'll see. I'm excited. This has been
vote Fisk. So
what is wrong with you? Anyway, we're gonna go. Vanessa, plug.
You can follow me at Vanessa Shark on everything, Instagram, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. I have vanessashark.com, my website that I update, as well as new articles that I write for multiverseofcolor.com.
Perfect. He did it. Ronan, where can people find your content?
They can find it at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm going to be covering a lot of Last of Us stuff, Star Wars, and some other stuff outside, and probably do some traveling this year as well.
And you got a TikTok now, right?
Oh, here we go. I'm
TikTok.
getting old with social medias. Come on
Your
now.
TikTok's coming, right? Yeah. And something on TikTok. You got a great Joker impression of TikTok.
Oh yeah, the whole rap. Yeah. I'll send it.
So yeah, you can find me and Ant Go here on Team JVS. Got a lot more content coming this year. It's gonna be a very exciting time. So we're gonna go. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll be back for True Detective. You'll see more of me, Vanessa, talking about that craziness. That's a whole other beast. So stay tuned for that. We're gone, y'all. Peace.
Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on